glasses. Marley, what you doing, babe? Waiting for people to join. I don't see anybody in the room. Let me make sure y'all can hear me. Oh, there are people in the room. Hey, y'all. Hey, hey, hey. Can y'all hear me when I sit the phone here? Peace, peace. Happy New Day. Peace. So I wanted to talk about self-care today because there's some interesting interactions that happens. Thank you. Thank you for your kindness on my page. And I want to talk about why I practice self-care and what self-care is. So self-care is the act of taking care of oneself. I mean, it's explanatory, self-explanatory, and that could look a myriad of ways. It could be making sure you eat properly. It could be making sure you take care of your body in a certain way. That could be exercise. It could be making sure you go to the doctor, dentist, upkeep. It could be affirming yourself, using affirmations to shift your mental perspective and to heal any negative thoughts and perceptions you may have. That is about blending the mind, body, spirit connection. That's what yoga does. It moves that connection into a oneness. It could be hula hooping. It could be dancing, skating. It could be writing poetry, making art. There's so many ways that we can all express self-care for ourselves. For men, it could be going to the barbershop, getting your feet done, making sure that when you get home from work that you create a space for yourself to decompress. It could be going to the racetrack. It could be riding a bike. It could look so many different things for both men and women, right? Also, men can practice yoga. My partner practices yoga as well. So when we're thinking about self-care, I'm reading our stuff and trying to keep up. When we're thinking about self-care, I want us to be like clear that it's a lot of stuff, and it's not about just pampering yourself or anything like that, and the pretty stuff, right? I do some pretty self-care things like crystals, but there's a lot self-care things like crystals, but there's a lot of work that you have to do with crystals as well. You can just wear them as an accoutrement or jewelry, but they have energies that live within them and that can help us heal and move forward in our lives in different ways. So you can actually do work with crystals, which is what I do. And that's why I make jewelry for people who are interested in beginning their journey with crystals. Another aesthetic way that we do self-care is getting our hair done, getting our nails done, massages, the fun stuff. Bubble baths. I love a good bubble bath. I'm a bath person. If on a good week, I'm in the bathtub 3 to 4 times a week with my crystals. Good CBD, bath soak, bubble baths, bubbles, candles, the whole works. And it's just me and it's quiet. And I need that time because that helps me refresh from the day after being with my 3 children and helping them manage life as new beings to this earth because they're still very new. So those are the ways that self-care can show up. For me, my self-care looks like I just said, the bubble baths, yoga, crystals, writing, drawing, creating on a very large level. I make jewelry, I write books, I draw, I make art, I crochet. I'm trying to think of what else I do that gets my energy out. Yeah. So sometimes these things may look aesthetically like you're trying to do something for for especially the yoga. What I think a lot of people think is for attention. It's really odd, honestly, being as though I have a very healthy and happy relationship, that people would think that I would need extra attention. I'm very clear about myself and very happy with who I am. And I share my yoga as a self-care journey for women and men who want to get in touch with their bodies in a different kind of way and may have seen yoga but not quite sure how to go there, not quite sure how to get there, or think that their body type is not for yoga because the mainstream norm that we see, body type that we see in yoga, is thin and white. So that's really why I share my yoga journey. It's as a way to push back against the visuals that we normally see. I see Black women doing yoga all the time and Black men, but that's because that's the circles that I am in. Those are the circles that I am in. I am in circles where that is the norm. The culture is the norm. Most of the Black people that I know meditate, do yoga, do Reiki. Oh, that's another self-care thing that I do. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I practice Reiki. Reiki is a healing modality that you learn from a Reiki master, and it's taught to you, and you are attuned. Marley, no, baby, no. You are attuned to Reiki by a Reiki master, and then she picks up the bell. No, my love. No. Give me that. Thank you. No, that's not for that either. You are attuned to Reiki by a Reiki master, and that heals you, and then you can provide that healing energy to other people as well. So that's the circle that I normally am in. The most of the people that I'm around are Black, and most of them are yogis, Reiki teachers, spiritual guides, spiritual teachers. They practice West African or African religions, or they're shamans, or they're teachers of some deep thought. And that has been the circle of people that I have been in since I was about 26 years old. And so that is total. Okay. That is totally normal to me, and not weird or attention seeking or any of those other things that a lot of people see when they see people practicing yoga. And I know that this world teaches us that most of the time, most people are not authentic and are not clear about who they are. But there are those rare moments like this. This is who I am. It is not for aesthetic. It's not for attention or approval. It's actually just who I am. And self-care is a huge part of my life because I came from a very traumatic upbringing. My mother had a drug addiction and was very abusive. And my father was not in the home, leading me and my siblings to be removed from my mother's care after a very traumatic incident where she nearly killed one of my siblings. So when you've had a relationship to abuse and trauma that I've had, self-care should become a big part of your existence. If you've had a relationship that has been super abusive and harmful to you, self-care should become a huge part of your existence, because it's the only way that you're going to be able to be present in your body. Because most of the time, when we've had a lot of trauma, we are constantly re-experiencing that trauma in all situations, because we're not sure or clear about the trauma, if we're in our actualization of ourselves, or we're actually realizing the trauma that we experienced. I'm moving around. Marley, why you take that out there? What you want? Oh, okay. You're just gonna have this house looking so junky, and I'm gonna have to clean it all up. Having a 3-year-old, and this is why I do these things, because I have 3 kids, and I didn't want them to experience the same trauma that I experienced. Here's your apples, baby. The same trauma that I experienced growing up. And I experienced that because my mother did not have a space where she could take care of herself. She was constantly in go, go, go. And because of the trauma that she experienced, she turned to drugs and alcohol in order to numb a lot of the pain that she felt from her childhood. And because she had a very abusive upbringing as well. And I knew as a kid that I would never, oh, thank you. I knew as a kid that I would never have this relationship with my children, and I had children, because I was a very self-righteous kid. And I was very into, I knew this was right and I knew this was wrong, and I knew this wasn't okay and I knew this was okay. And I knew that there needed to be a balance in parenting. And it caused a lot of friction with me and my mother, because I was a very confrontational kid. I would tell her, this is not how you parent. This is not what you do. You don't beat your children. You don't cuss at your children. You don't be mean to your children. I was that kid. I was very upfront with what I liked and what I didn't like. And it got me into trouble a lot. And I just knew that, not that just that I was right, but that I would never injure my children in this way. And I learned how to take care of myself before I had kids. And I knew that was, when I looked at my mother's story, I could see that she never figured out how to take care of herself. She just started having children and then was kind of forced to try to figure out how to take care of them. And a lot of our parents did that. They went into parenting without having a secure basis for who they are and a secure self-love for who they are. And then they're forced to love other people that came out of their body or that they created. And they just can't get there because they've never done it for themselves. It's almost impossible to teach what you don't understand. And the trauma that my family came through, being, my grandmother was a sharecropper, and my mom was a product of an abandoned, father relationship. So when you have all those trauma cycles rolling into one, they're going to roll onto the children. And it was very important for me to figure out before I had kids, and I didn't have children until I was 33 years old, because I knew as a young adult, I went to therapy. I knew I needed a lot of work to work out the things that had happened to me in my childhood. A lot of serious incidents happened that literally threw me off the path that I was on. And so self-care is very important to me, and I will promote it forever on my page, because I know there are a lot of Black women and Black men who grew up in similar home situations that I grew up in, who have not figured out how to be themselves, who have not figured out how to love themselves, who have not figured out how to take care of themselves, and yet they're supposed to take care of other people. And they're doing the best that they can. I'm not blaming anyone for doing the best they can. I don't even blame my mom for doing the best that she can. However, I knew as a kid that there was better, and that was not the best that she could do technically, but it was the best that she could do because that was all that she sought to learn. Right. Thank you for sharing that, Momo. Yes. So, and a lot of people, when people talk about these conversations, people think, oh, you're bashing your mother or you're talking down about your parents. And it's not that. I'm being authentic. I'm telling the story as it was. And I have to tell the truth so that I can be clear that I don't want to recreate that scenario for my children. And I believe children are gifts. They're gifts. It's a blessing. Why would I harm a blessing? Why would I subject a blessing to pain, like purposely? So that's why I share my self-care in the event that someone who is like me, who needs a place to start, who needs way to figure it out, somewhere to go, that they get that you can do it. Even if you've already began a cycle of harm with your children, then it can be recreated. You can end that cycle and start over. And that takes accountability. That takes honesty, authenticity, and clarity, and being present, right? So we know when we're harming people, and we know when we're harming ourselves. We know when we're doing behaviors that are out of alignment with who we say we want to be in the world. And that's now another important reason why it's so important to take care of yourself and to institute a self-care practice. And that doesn't have to look as large as mine. Mine is so large and varied because literally I had so much trauma as a kid. I almost have to be constantly figuring out how to undo it as an adult. I don't want to get into the traumas because it's just too much to talk about. But because I know that, because I worked as a counselor for 20 years, because I worked with children who were in similar housing situations that I was in, because I worked in the same community that I grew up in, I know that these types of traumas continue to this day because people aren't willing to have the conversations that like this. Momo said, children are extremely resilient and intuitive, and if we just take a second to really overstand their... Oh man, it went away. How do I get it back? To overstand their mentality, we could learn a lot as adults from them. It's unfortunate that in the Black community, we are taught to feel shame about our reality and what's going on, and that's not right. Right. Damn, I'm shaking my head. We really go through a lot. Nowhere to go. See, I thank you both for all that. Yeah, it's a lot of I think for me, because my mother was my only influence, because I didn't grow up with a dad, and that was an influence in its own way, right? So now I had an influence of not only is my dad not around, not here to show me what a love is that a father will have for a daughter, that now I don't even know how to interact with men on a certain level, because my mother also was a fatherless daughter. So she couldn't teach me or reminisce with me about how her father treated her or anything like that. There was nothing to share. So she was giving me everything that she knew how to give, and it was very trauma induced. trauma-based. It was very abusive because no one was there for her to insert, this is how you do this and this is how you do that. And someone has to see that this pattern is starting to swirl out of control. I'm 41 years old now and still trying to get past certain incidents that took place in my life. It's hard to being an empath. Yes. Yeah, I mean, as we grow and we continue to acknowledge, honestly, Momo, acknowledgement and talking through those things, like how they make you feel. I do trauma work with women as well. It's on my website. I have to say that because you're bringing it up. But I will tell you what I do. She's trying to tell me a secret. So I do trauma work with women. And basically what I do with them is, and this is very difficult, I will not lie to you, is have them write down a timeline of their trauma and just slowly go through it and acknowledge the feelings that showed up for them in each moment, because those feelings track back to behaviors. Those feelings track back to ways of being that we take on daily and we don't know are based in trauma. So a lot of times we think that something is the way that we are, that this is my personality or XYZ, but it is not. It is actually a trauma-based behavior that you've taken on in order to protect yourself from a traumatic energy that you recognize. So that is something that we get to incorporate, and I do this daily. It is a lot of work. I'm not going to tell you. I cry almost 3 times a week because it's intense, but because of the amount of trauma I have to do it, because I have.
Mommy, can I put the suitcase to the beach?
Yes, we take the suitcase to the beach. I have to do it because I have to safeguard my children and the people around me and myself. Because the amount of trauma I had, I can go off the rails if I'm not checking it all the time. That's why I do so much yoga. Yoga moves trauma out of your body at a spectacular rate. Any movement, walking, running, hula hooping, dancing, anything where you're getting that energy to come up and come out is really, really effective. Therapy is great. Talking is great. But the trauma, the part where somebody injured you, hit you, slapped you, beat you, that stuff needs movement to come out of your body because it was moved into your body. It was forced onto your body. Rape, anything like that where someone harmed you deeply and viciously, harmed your body, you need to move to release it. Sitting still is not going to release it. Talking about it is not going to release it. You have to get up and run it out. Punch it out. I used to take boxing. Punch it out. Do whatever you have to do for that. How can I support my wife in her trauma if it doesn't talk about it, won't talk about it? But she has told me she has suicidal thoughts. So I wonder, Big Daddy, I feel crazy saying that, but this is serious. So I would say encourage her to go to therapy. I didn't mean to time him out. I didn't mean to delete your message. Sorry. Encourage her to go to therapy. She doesn't have to go into anyone's office. They have online and call therapy now. I would do gentle encouragement. By also, if there's things she really likes that's not harmful to her, that's not going to harm her, because that's what we want to do, is reduce the harm first. We're going to do harm reduction first because she's in a space where she wants to harm herself. So help her start enjoying things that create least harm to her. So if she's like one of those people like that likes to go get gardening stuff, encourage her to do that. If she is a cook, encourage her to do that. Encourage her to do things that feel good, that don't harm her, so that she can get her mental state out of that low energy mental state. What needs to happen is her energy needs to rise up out of that. Those thoughts are not going to technically go away, because she may need medicine. She may need other things that only a psychologist can do, especially depending on the type of trauma she had. Everybody can't exercise their trauma out, talk their trauma out, work their trauma out. Sometimes some people's trauma needs medicine. I know that we're not a big proponent of that in the Black community, but I have a very good friend who honestly, until she, went through her process and got on medicine, I didn't realize how necessary it was for some people who needed medication for their suicidal ideology, for their body harm, for their self inflicted pain that they caused throughout the day. And and she explained her journey to me, and it really made me be more of an advocate for medication for people who just cannot get out of that loop. So that's what I would suggest, because everybody is not going to self-regulate, and that's what I'm talking about, self-regulation.
Mommy.
Yes, Pooh.
Yes, it is. Mommy.
That's my baby Marley.
Mommy.
Okay, baby. Can you get down? You want this coffee? You won't even get down for coffee? Okay, wait a minute. You're stuck. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, now you got me stuck. We both can't fit in this chair, but you tried to make it happen.
It's so quick.
Here, take my coffee. Bye-bye. So some of my days are just like this. I tried to do yoga. I got maybe 15 minutes in before she was climbing all over me and
Mommy.
being her child self.
Mommy. Wake up.
I'm woke. Did you want to say hi?
Mommy.
Did you want to say hi? Is that what you want?
Hi.
So I hope this made sense and helped anybody that had any questions. I think Marley is on the move and she's not going to give up. So I'm not going to make y'all endure her screaming and everything, because I'm used to it and it doesn't bother me. But all right, you going to say bye?
Hey, bye.
Bye. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope this was helpful. Thanks for the compliments, and take care of yourselves, and just take that extra time. I know it feels like you're taking away from your family or your kids or whatever else it is you could be committed to doing, but if you're feeling spent and you're feeling like you need to get a moment to yourself, take it. That is self-care. Even if that's, sitting in your driveway for 10 minutes before going in the house and getting into it. Take care of yourselves. It's important. We need each other. Talk to you guys later. Peace.